to worry about the harmless propaganda in the background for me on a usual basis. Listen, we're in the studio. We're looking forward to it today. There's a lot to talk about. I know the comments are going to be filled with a certain foot golf. Listen, you just have to wait and see. You have to wait and see. Look when it comes out. And like I said, if you invested in the redemption arc, then well played, you know. Now, let's get into the stories today. There's a lot going on. I'm quite surprised at this first one, but listen, we have been speaking about it on recent shows all week. Cristiano Ronaldo has told Manchester United that he wants to basically be freed of his contract, whether that's a termination, they come to some sort of mutual agreement. That's what he's apparently said. Of course, we know he's back in Carrington not so long ago with George Mendes. They came back to the training ground. They were looking to resolve the situation, sort out their future. Listen, if George Mendes is looking and offering his client out to multiple clubs, then clearly that's something that the player has agreed to, and that's something that he's trying to push as well. And I think Man United fans have made peace. They seem to have, at least online, made peace with the fact that he wants to leave the club. But will it actually happen? You know, that's the question we've been asking. That's what's in the title. Will he actually leave the club? Is there any options for him? Are they really desirable, you know, as well? Does it really make sense? It's the questions I've been asking, but you know, they've doubled down today, and they clearly would like to make an exit from the club. Now, there's not many clubs in for him. We spoke about Atletico Madrid. We spoke about Chelsea, Tuchel, you know, not being interested in the player, not wanting to go down that route. There isn't really much else out there in terms of a move. I think before Campos came in under the old PSG regime, you could have said that PSG would have maybe gone in for a player like this. They like to bring in stars. Imagine a team of Messi, Ronaldo in the same team. It's something that you would build an Ultimate Team. It doesn't really make sense. It's not realistic, but it could have actually happened in real life. But now that they've brought in their sporting director, Luis Campos, you could see the signings they're making in the last couple of weeks. It's been going down the younger route. A lot more scouting is being done, and they're looking at profile more than, you know, names. So I don't know where he's going to go. Let me know in the comments. I ask you every time, where is he going? A lot of you feel like he's staying. I still feel like he's staying. Manchester United continue to keep, you know, saying and putting out there that they do not want to sell the player. They do not want to let the player go. Ten Hag wants to keep the player. Does Martial continue to play up front if Ronaldo does stay? Or does player power potentially come into it? That's always been a question mark I've had with Ronaldo, is that he obviously demands to start. Of course, he will be rotated out because he is getting older and he needs to be, you know, not playing every single game, of course, and pressing from the front. However, you would expect, you know, a player of this magnitude, World Cup, he wants to play most games. He demands to play. But Martial's been looking okay. He's been looking good in preseason. Man United fans seem to be investing once again in the player. Quite excited after what's been a couple of years of a little bit of a downturn. Maybe, just maybe, you could have a little battle in your hands there. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm very interested to see what you guys are thinking on that front. But do let me know. It's an interesting one. Cristiano Ronaldo. Have no idea where he's going to end up, but we shall see. Let's move on to our next story. Barcelona closing in on Jules Kounde. Chelsea out of that race. 50 million euros is apparently the agreed fee with Sevilla. It's definitely lower than what Chelsea paid for this player. But listen, we know what the situation is. We've spoken about it for the last few days, up to a week now, closing in. Kounde wants to go to Barcelona. Xavi's spoken to the player personally. They've made that abundantly clear, you know, in the last couple of days that is his preference, that is his first choice. And funny thing is now, we never really used to talk about this too often, but if a player's preference is to go to another club and they are offering a lower fee and they refuse to join the team that are, you know, paying more money, the selling club really have no option but to, if anything, go back on that higher fee and start to look at the lower fee if you really want the player to go, if you really need the money. So it's a little bit of a change in the dynamics. But Kounde, you know, is a really good player. I think Chelsea kind of messed up this transfer a little bit if you really want to look at the fact that they've had personal terms agreed for over a year. And then on top of that, they didn't go for him at the beginning of the window. They decided to chase De Ligt. They decided to go for Ake. They decided to go for other players. And not only does Jules Kounde and his agent know that, but, you know, now, of course, Barcelona have been able to come into the race late and not match the fee, but certainly convince the player to go. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to play. Maybe, you know, we know he's a centre-back. He can play right-back. He's played right-back for France a few times when they were in a four. Sometimes, obviously, in a 3 on the right side centre-back position. Will Xavi start to play a back 3? He's spoken about even De Jong playing in a centre-back position. He's used him a few times there. Or will they just play a back 4? Will Kounde partner Christensen, or will Christensen be on the bench and they'll partner their usual centre-back pairing? Or will Kounde play at right-back as an inverted right-back? I think that could be a position that he could thrive in. It'll be interesting. I'm not really sure exactly how they're going to do it with these centre-backs, but listen, they've got strength and depth. They've had a brilliant window. Will they be able to register everyone? We'll have to see if they're going to register everybody. That was a little issue, a minor issue that was spoken about. Not so minor. I hope that, I'm not going to lie, the petty in me, let's just keep it a buck. I hope they can't register everyone because it would be absolutely hilarious. They've completely messed with our transfer window. Many of your transfer windows at home as well. So, yeah, I think we can all, kind of stand alongside each other and agree that it would be quite funny if they couldn't register. But if there's any Barcelona fans watching, sorry. Ajax, in another story, have raised the asking price for 22-year-old Brazilian winger Antony as well. Manchester United, of course, are going for the player. £68 million was the offer, or at least the fee that they were looking for initially, and then they raised it up to 84 million, and that for me is just far too much. Even 68 million would have been a lot, but you could understand, 22 years old, it's an investment, young Brazilian international, lots of talent, high trajectory you're expecting from that player. But 84 million, is this really a position that Manchester United have to invest in heavily? Let me know. But I would be surprised if they were to splash that amount of money. Ajax have already come out many a time and said that they don't want to let go of any more players, hence why the asking price is so high. So I would be surprised if they let go of Antony for that fee of 68, and hence why they've raised it. I don't think Man United will pay that rise in figure as well. And like I said, they have other forwards, and it really depends on Ronaldo. If Ronaldo exits, then maybe you could say you need another forward, even in the wide positions, just to balance it out. And maybe Rashford could be your second choice striker. But if Ronaldo stays, I don't really see this amount of money being put into the forward line when you have other forwards. Maybe you still look for that midfielder that you was chasing, obviously, in De Jong. But we shall see. I want to get to some of the comments. I've got an old previous broadcast up here, so let me get this up. But I'm interested to see what you guys are thinking about this situation. Let's take a look. Right, let me see if I can find this. Well, I'll pull it up in a second when I get it up for you guys. Yeah, perfect on the screen. That'd be brilliant. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Some of these comments. Yeah, I mean, this Ronaldo saga has been going on for quite a while, guys, so I can understand if it's slightly annoying for you. Christensen, yeah. See, Jordi Alba at left back is an interesting one. I see that comment there. He is aging, and by the way, after Kounde, Barcelona are meant to be looking at potentially going for fullbacks. They were linked with Marcos Alonso. They were linked with Cesar Azpilicueta. I don't know if they're really going to go for these players, whether Chelsea will do business, whether Chelsea will be petty and not do business because of the fact that they've taken all of their targets. But we shall see. Ten Hag is trying to move Ajax to the Premier League. Yeah, something that we've said many a time, and it's very true. Someone saying we're in the mud this season, Matisse. I'm guessing a Chelsea fan. We don't have enough quality depth for rotation, so we do need forwards. We also have, we only have youngsters. That's true. I mean, you have obviously Alanga. You maybe do need some more depth there. But in terms of like starting material, you're probably not finished in terms of your starting 11. So you could definitely do with some attacking depth, but I do think 84 million is a lot of money to spend. And if you have the money, then fantastic. But you definitely need to sort out that midfield. You know that DM position has been an issue for you for quite a few years since Matic started to decline. You need to bring that balance in. So it'd be interesting to see if you do that or not. But maybe Ten Hag has another idea. You have Van der Beek, you have Martinez. Whether he will play in midfield, he probably will play centre back, but we'll see. Bruno Fernandes is there, Fred is there, McTominay is there. So there are quite a few options. Just definitely, I think, just missing one more person. De Jong would have probably been perfect, but whether that move happens or not, we'll have to see. Okay, so let's take another look at a deal between Liverpool and Juventus, which is apparently very close for Roberto Firmino. Now, I still have my hesitations and my doubts about this just because, listen, they've already let go of Mane. and they basically replaced him with Darwin Núñez. So if you was to let go of Firmino, remember Origi left as well to Milan. So you are maybe leaving yourselves a bit short if you let go of Firmino. Then I would have to say you'd probably need another forward. Minamino, is he still there? I have to check twice on that one to be honest, because he's rarely ever involved. But he wouldn't say that that's the direct replacement for Firmino anyway. Would you be able to trust him? Would be another question. I personally think it's a bit hasty to get rid, but I think he does have 1 year left on his contract, so that may be playing a part in this. I'm also hoping that Juventus aren't actually closing in on this deal, because I want them to go for Timo Werner, who they were linked with as well. So, that doesn't help us. But Liverpool were linked with Timo Werner before, so again, the option is there, guys. If you want to do business, come and talk. We know that, Klopp was interested before, and you need a forward to replace Firmino. Maybe even a straight swap. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I wouldn't mind a straight swap Firmino for Timo Werner. That sounds like a wonderful swap. Minamino left, exactly. So they've already sold their depth in terms of those, those guys were really in-depth strikers, Origi, Minamino. We didn't see them too often, but, when we saw them, they actually did come up clutch. Their goals to minutes ratio was really quite strong. And to get rid of Firmino then would be hasty. It would definitely be a gamble. And it would, for me, only further cement Manchester City as clear favourites for the title. I think Firmino is very underrated, and it will be needed this season for sure. But let's see. Someone said Firmino is made out of sticks and can't stay fit anymore in the comments there. I didn't realise his injury record was quite that much of a concern, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, let's see. It's going to be interesting. Liverpool ain't looking very strong at the minute. I think Liverpool are finally poised and positioned for second place. But I do think to go for the title, in comparison to what Manchester City are looking like if they get Cucurella over the line, they're looking really, really strong. You've added Erling Haaland, you've added Alvarez, you've added Phillips to replace Fernandinho, which is an upgrade if you're looking at Fernandinho's version of last year, that current version, not the overall career. Phillips will just give you more legs, will give you more energy, is in his prime, closer to his prime. And then the left-back situation you expect to get sorted as well. So when you look at Manchester City, they look like, if anything, they're only getting stronger. And Liverpool, I would say, maybe a little plateau. Mane's gone, Núñez. I wouldn't say that's an upgrade. As the season goes on, we'll make the judgment. But I think Man City are looking very, very strong. And if you look at Pep and you look at some of his training videos and you look at the way he's talking to his players, he is serious. Again, Manchester City don't have the mentality of, we'll just start coasting now. We've won the Premier League twice in a row. We're good. They always go again. They always find new motivation. They always strive to go for another title and another title. They want to completely dominate this league. They want to turn it into the Bundesliga. So, unfortunately for the rest of us, we're going to have to buck up our ideas. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves on the receiving end of 100 points every year. It is what it is. The game is the game. But And also with Manchester City, they've brought in enough new players to light the fire again, to keep the motivation up. Erling Haaland's never won a Premier League title. Alvarez has not won it. Cucurella's not going to win it if he joins, or whoever goes at left back, Phillips. So there's enough players in there that are hungry to win. And then, the rest of the squad are full of winners anyway, so they should keep up the mentality. I've spoken about Jules Kounde. You must be late, Billy. I'm not talking about it again. You know the story. You know the situation. So yeah, you're gonna have to rewind. There's no way I'm going through double pain of talking about Jules Kounde twice when he's going to Barcelona and not my club. This has also come from Metro BBC Sport that Tuchel has blocked the move for Timo Werner. I don't think he has personally. I would be shocked if he has. But apparently he wants the forward to be part of his plans for the squad this season. If that is the case, I would be very disappointed in Thomas Tuchel there. That wouldn't make much sense to me. The player is clearly not on fire for Chelsea in the last 2 seasons. You only have to look at the goal output, and you only have to use the eye test of what you've actually watched in terms of technical ability, flexibility in different formation systems. He's very, 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 very limited. I'm giving you my opinion, but I'm sure probably most of you in the comments will agree if you've watched him in a Chelsea shirt. But if you see him, in the Bundesliga at RB Leipzig, he does well. He had a great season and quite a few seasons. His track record was brilliant. I just don't think the Premier League really suits him. It doesn't seem to. The physicality of it, the fact that there's not maybe enough high lines for him to take advantage of. He's coming up against low blocks. He just doesn't have enough tools. If you find yourself in a situation in any situation and you can't solve the problem and you need another solution, then you look to your back pocket and you see what you have. He doesn't have a back pocket. He just has what he has. And if he can't use that, then he's finished. And it's as simple as that. So I'd be surprised if Tuchel really does want to keep him. It wouldn't really make much sense to me. Considering that he did criticize a little bit, in a way, his comments that were made about being happy anywhere. That was kind of the blasé comment that was made over pre-season, and then he kind of fired back and said, listen, anybody should be happy to be here. So I don't think they particularly see eye to eye in terms of, how to get the best out of, Chelsea, in terms of how to get the best out of Werner specifically. And with a World Cup year coming up, I think Timo Werner, he needs to be playing week in, week out anyway. So it doesn't really make much sense for him to even stay. But we will see how that progresses. Hopefully we have some news on that soon in terms of incoming bids. Big up the chat. I see you in there. Not a single mention of foot golf so far. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's see this. Yes, we do need centre-backs, and we'll give you Pablo Mari on loan. Well, thank you so much, Billy, for your generous offer. I really do appreciate it. But I'm going to have to decline, okay? I'm going to have to decline. Unfortunately, Pablo Mari, who I used to say Mari from Madagascar, I'm going to have to leave him with you, We saw what Lukaku did to him at the Emirates. We're fine, thank you. But thank you anyway. But anyway, so let's get on to the next story. Everton have a total agreement with Burnley for 20 million for McNeil, of course, the winger from there. Now, listen, he's been one of those players at Burnley that definitely doesn't deserve to be in the Championship. He's definitely one of their best players. So it's actually a smart signing, I think, for Everton. They need to be making more intelligent buys. They've been messing around in the transfer window for far too long. That deal is almost complete. A medical to take place, and then a 5-year contract to be signed. So that's basically over the line. That was one of the players that Burnley would have expected to lose, along with probably Kounde, who has been linked with Everton as well as a few other clubs. You'd expect that these type of players do find their way out of Burnley. Not many of them, but a couple of them, because they're just far too good for the Championship. McNeil falls into that bracket. And that would be Everton's second signing. They've only signed Tchaikovsky, also from Burnley. So maybe there's just shopping Burnley this summer. If they get Kounde as well, then they'd be signing 3 players from one club. So the business is starting to move for Everton. I do think financial fair play, they may have some issues, which is maybe why they're not going so gung-ho in this window. We know they've spent a lot of money over the years and very limited actual, success, and no success really to show for it. So, in fact, if anything, a decline and a regression. So I think Everton just need to maybe settle down a little bit, make some smart buys, capitalize off the teams that have been relegated, which is what they're doing, trying to find the best players from that. Next season, can they really hope for too much? Not really. I don't think a top 10 finish is anywhere near their aspirations. You're probably more looking like a solid 13th, 14th, something around those areas. And just trying not to be in a relegation battle would be the first step. Top 10 is awfully competitive, and there's a lot of clubs spending a lot of money, and really trying to bolster their squads. I don't think Everton are on that level right now, but this will be a good signing for them if they get that over the line. So that's looking to be completed. And then you have Tottenham's wholesale. They have a fantastic array of talents. If you're looking for players that are on the exit, they have left them out, I think, of the pre-season tour. So they're really serious about getting these players out. Lo Celso, Ndombele, Harry Winks, and Reguilon as well. All 4 up for sale at Tottenham. And interesting to see what they'll price them at. Sometimes clubs value their players a bit too highly, especially in this market. Post-COVID, most of the teams in other countries are struggling in terms of finances. They're trying to do loan deals with options to buy. They're not trying to splash heavily on players that are out of form. Lo Celso was obviously out on loan last season. Ndombele was out on loan as well. Harry Winks and Reguilon were part of the squad, but of course are not part of Conte's plans. And Sergio Reguilon is really, for me, probably the biggest surprise. Ndombele's maybe been a bit up and down for the last few years. We could kind of see this coming with the lack of consistency from a work rate standpoint, training standpoint, fitness standpoint, despite him being very technically gifted. I think Reguilon, though, he signed from, Sevilla and was very promising. Won the Europa League, was looking like one of the best left-backs out of Spain, and just has not found his feet at Tottenham whatsoever. Not found his feet at all. And you'd probably assume that he'd go back to Spain. We'll have to see on that one, and we'll have to see what they priced him at. But, yeah, Not going to be easy to sell these players. There are many clubs looking to sell players on the fringes. Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, even Manchester United. We all have players that we're trying to offload and move on. But it's not going to be easy because we all pay them as Premier League clubs a very handsome wage. And most clubs are not going to match those wages. And then on top of that, there's fees as well. So it's going to be very difficult. We'll see who gets rid of their unwanted players the best. That will definitely help your season right now to clear players that are no longer needed. I always feel like, although we have the 5 substitutes, we have the World Cup, we do need big squads. You don't want to go into the season with unhappy, unwanted players. It can seep through the rest of the team. It can create an atmosphere and a working environment that you don't really want as a manager. And that's why a lot of managers do like to stick to, 23 max squad. Everybody, fit for purpose. It's like the Victoria line. Every station is needed. None of this nonsense where you just get sent out to the end of the woods. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. When it comes to your squad, you don't want to be having players that are unhappy. You don't want to see players that don't want to be there. They'll have their little whispers, their little group chats, their little conversations with other players, and it will just create a messy vibe that you don't want to deal with. So smart if they can get rid, especially on loans with options to buy, which is basically what ends up happening until your contract runs out. Definitely happens at Chelsea. But we'll see. We'll see what fees they're asking for. I think there's some decent value in Reguilon. I don't think you can say that his market value would have fallen through the floorboards. Not sure about the other 3. We'll have to see. But it will be interesting to see. Let's see the comments before we wrap up. Foot golf, of course. Foot golf master at work. Listen, I said to you guys, that video that was on YouTube all those years ago? Bitcoin, buy it for £1. Save your life. I told you on this show and on many other platforms to invest. My stocks are on the floor, literally in the minuses. You could not lose any money with me. You can only gain. If you invested, you're about to see what happens with that investment. If you didn't, then you can come and cry to me next week. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see my doubters in the mud. So let's see more comments. You don't understand how I can't wait for this to get released. You don't even understand. It's different. The whole vibe is different around here now. I came in with my chest real different this week. Let's see. Any more comments? Oh God. Yeah, I can see. Big up. Yeah, 100%. There we go. Andy Carroll is slept on. Is he really slept on, Andy Carroll? I'm not sure if he's slept on. I think he's probably sleeping. I haven't seen him in ages. He was really good at Newcastle. Then he made the move to Liverpool. Massive fee. Didn't work out. I do remember a long-range shot that he scored, I think maybe on his debut or in one of his first games. And then obviously Suarez worked out and he didn't. Yeah, I can see the comments. All right, well, listen, we're going to wrap up. I can see that you guys are definitely mixed in terms of your faith in me in this foot golf, which is fine. I definitely didn't showcase my best before, but, we just like to play games. It's good to see, who's ride or die around here. Who really believes, who really has the faith in the new trainers. When is Big Six? That will be tomorrow on Thursday. So there you are. Actually, sorry, today. There you are. Okay, so that's all your questions answered. We're going to wrap up. Big up your damn selves. Make sure you smash up the like, subscribe to DR Sports. And yeah, I will see you next time for another transfer show. Hopefully some more deals get done over the line for your clubs. And the season starts literally in just over a week, people. This time next week, we will be counting it down literally to the Premier League beginning. And we have the Community Shield this weekend as well, which will be on DR Sports. So make sure you're here for that. I'll be on that watch along. Looking forward to it. Manchester City versus Liverpool. So a big game. And it's going to be incredible. So yeah, until next time, in a bit, people. Peace.